Hello, how's it going? Thanks again for submitting your newest version. Let's take a look at what you've got. Things are looking very cool. Nice. So I think there's one area which I think needs the most work, which is some of the stuff in it's kind of from here onwards. This second hit in here I think needs the most work. I think the bit that's not working for me at the moment is some of the arcs. Wow, there's a few things. So you come up to this pose and then you shoot back in space quite a bit. And I think in reality, what you want is the cog to continue in one arc. Whereas at the moment, you kind of come back on yourself whilst you're doing the step. And as such, the weight doesn't feel like it's kind of going forward as much. You can reduce, if you're going to end up in this pose, you can, when you do this step, you can reduce the amount you're coming forward so that it continues in one clean arc. But I think that change of direction doesn't make too much sense. And I think the other thing with this is you get into this pose here on this frame where your cog is here. But then you overshoot back up for only a few frames and then you come out of it again. And I think this extra overshoot is just adding too much complexity to it and you don't have enough time for this pose. So I would just have it continue to settle in this pose. If you're doing an overshoot, make it very tiny instead of coming out quite a lot with, the head goes down to here and then comes all the way back up to here. It's quite a big pose change here. Like I would keep it way more simple within this pose. And that's hopefully going to help the clarity of things. Cool. That was one of the bigger notes. A lot of other things are going to just be lead and follow and polish at this point. Finding moments where we can drag things like here. Boom. Straighten it more. Boom. Completely straight at this point, unravel it. So, starts to straighten here, completely straightens, and then, maybe then you can get a slight lead with the elbow so you get that break like you've got, and then come across. But it's about having that lead and follow between the body. Here, I think maybe you can do a bit less. You have like a really big spacing here, and then kind of changes the arc a bit, and then it pops. Like it's just about cleaning up a lot of things at this point. So I think you could probably be better off going from this pose. I would maybe lead more with the elbow, keep it tucked in, and get it around sooner. You're getting it around really early, so that it's dragging. You get that real strong lead and follow, and you get into your clean pose nice and early. So my spacing might not be completely correct here. It looks like there's a kind of a hold on this frame. So let's just get rid of this one. This kind of thing where you're pushing through to lead. I think that's going to help a lot. So there's going to be a lot of points in this where it's going to be about tracking things and cleaning things up for polish for sure. I would love a little bit of resistance here maybe. So you get this nice clean frame here where you have like the negative space and you can see the sword. And then you have one more frame where maybe you try to keep the arm bent for a little bit longer. So you get like a little mini resistance halfway through and then you snap out into your straight with a little bit of, have a tiny bit of the arc continuing, boom, boom, as you've got there. But having that little bit of resistance in there, so you get a little bit stuck halfway, so it's like a tiny, like there's a tiny bit of resistance in the spacing in the middle where it hits and slashes through the body. I think that's going to be great. Cool. There's going to be a bunch of smaller spacing things. So here, spacing wise, you kind of here in screen space, and then you kind of like the head is coming forward on this frame, but then it comes back on this frame. That's kind of muddled, right? It's kind of confusing. In reality, you probably want your head to be here more, so you're continuing forward. So if I draw this one in green, so you're continuing forward, and then maybe you arc down and your body settles in, overshoots and settles in here, right? So it's just about cleaning up that arc in the body. Similar thing with the hand here, where the hand is going really far screen right, and then it kind of doesn't move at all. So maybe you could split the difference here. Maybe if you want to end up here, or you would come more forward to support with that body, I think, actually. So you have that bigger spacing coming forward like you have, boom, boom, and then you start to come around. I think this frame, maybe you could just get rid of to snap it up completely. If you just get rid of this frame and just snap into this one, so you go boom, and you're already here for that impact, could be cool. Might be worth giving that a go. I think maybe this arc could be simplified a little bit. Maybe I drew this poorly before. I think maybe if the hand's here, this high up, on the next frame, I would have the hand a bit higher than what you've got. Just so that the arc is a bit simpler like this, instead of doing a massive scoop. We minimize the scoop, and I think I'll feel a bit nicer. Cool. Then you have this huge spacing in here, and then not really much spacing at all here. So I would probably drag the arm a little bit. I don't know why I'm drawing in red still, but you know, if the sword is here, then maybe this could be, you know, somewhat coming around, and then you get to here, and that way, you know, you get a little bit more readability in it. It doesn't just teleport past. I think that's going to help. Here, I would love a bit more anticipation here, like the chest rotating for this wind up a tiny bit. So like from here, maybe you start to have it rotate, and you start to come into this anticipation pose a little bit earlier, and then you can snap out of it. At the moment, there's not much lead and follow. I think you can drag this arm. So you got this cool pose. I think on the next frame, you can drag that behind, you know, as your other arm is coming through. And then this can start to come in, you know, but a little bit behind what you got, and then it can come out, you know. So you get the lead and follow where this side is leading and this side is dragging from. There's a little bit of complexity in the head here, which I think could be simplified. So when you get to this point, when you push up onto this leg, you could come more forward and rotate back a little bit more. And this would allow your head, I don't know why I've drawn the head so goddamn tiny here. I turn on the ghosting. Okay, ghosting isn't enough frames. Let's turn that up to 5. So maybe you could simplify and connect this body up a little bit more if you come more into this leg. Right. Shing. Cool. And then you're already on this leg fully when you're doing this spin, which makes sense because all the weight's on this leg. So I think you do want to be a bit further over. Right. So further over in the body, but you can counter in the rotate for some of this arc. Maybe at this point we're even further over this way to support that. Hard to say fully, but maybe I've exaggerated a little bit too much, but a little bit further over. So that head spacing is tracking. Here, one thing I'd definitely track is the head. You have the head basically not moving. It's only really moving in rotation here. And you have a massive pop. Actually, your spacing doesn't feel too bad here. Maybe this isn't too bad. Maybe you could just delay the body slightly. Just thinking about the lead and follow here. Maybe not. Maybe ignore me on this one. I think you actually have done a good job here. Maybe you can delay the sword. Maybe that's what's... maybe that'll help with the lead and follow a tiny bit. So maybe you keep the arm a little bit more tucked in. Nice. Love that snap. Cool. So one thing here with this arc, your head, you're going from this pose up to this pose. And I think what's overcomplicated a little bit is that your head comes forward and back quite a lot. If I turn on the ghosting here, so you can see, maybe I don't have enough frames behind me to see this drawing. Let's turn that up. Cool. So it's here to here is where you're going, but you're coming quite a bit out here first. So you're getting this arc. Maybe we could simplify this a little bit by having this a little bit straighter, a little bit more controlled. So you're within this headspace. There's a lot of drawings on screen. I know it's probably a bit messy, but you kind of connect the body by when you push the body forward, you're counter rotating back to keep the head spacing simple. It's all about simplicity and clarity. Let's draw this. Cool, let's turn off this guides now. So you keep that head arc really simple by having the body following underneath. So it's really going in a real simple, small arc here. I think that's going to help with the clarity here a little bit. We already talked about some of this overshoot and stuff in here. Here. Thinking about the mechanics on the red guy currently. Kind of feels like you have a bit of a hitch here where you change direction. But maybe it's okay for now. I think it's a bit polished, but so here we can definitely get some lead and follow. I think you want to keep this arm back a little bit more so you can have that clear, strong anticipation pose. Keep it a bit more side on to camera for a little bit longer, and you can already start to lead with the back arm pushing back around. You're already leading with this. Maybe you want to push this arm out a bit so you get this nice silhouette. So the bag's a little bit in the way, but something very slightly stuck out would be cool. So maybe you can lead that back around to get that. So you're leading with the body more before the arm, which is cool. This jump, I wonder if it makes more sense to push off this leg. So keep this leg planted for longer. And do the lead with this leg first. Since we're pushing away from camera with this leg, I think you'd need to keep this leg on instead of the other leg on. So you're basically doing the timing that you have on the other legs, but on this closer to screen leg for that push off. I think that's going to help a bunch. Here, this doesn't really feel like a hit. It feels very soft, I think. Maybe you could get those arms a bit higher. So you have a little bit further to come down for this pose when you get into it. Feels a little bit stuck to his body though. So maybe there's something. maybe on this clash, you have this clash frame, and then the next frame is pushed back more straight. So it's like being hit and he's taken the force of it. I think stuff like that is always very good. Bump, bump. So the sword's taken the force of it. So the pose ends up being straighter because it's like taking the force of the hit for a little bit longer. Here, I think on this frame, you can start having the body coming up. I think you're delayed a bit too much. So your body's like drifting up through all of this, whereas it can be a bit sharper. You can get into it. I mean, this drawing I've done is too much, but there it is. Delete. So you can come up a little bit. You can start to come up when it gets pushed up, and then continue that, and have that get to its final position. Kind of, you're easing in already by the time you get to maybe here. This is already easing in. Because at the moment he's just kind of drifting up. Definitely would love some 2D effects on some of these slashes and things. It'd be super cool. Feels like at the end, the settle at the end, like side to side rotation is really strong through here, and then it just kind of stops and he just leans forward at the end. And he just kind of falls back. Like a few of those curves, I think you could keep overshooting and resolving, like the side to side in the chest, and like the shoulders and all this kind of stuff, like nice connected, and the head. Because like these last few frames, it's just almost like one channel translating down, which you don't want. You want all of these things still settling and jiggling and doing all this nice stuff that you've got earlier to continue through right to the end of the shot. Cool. I like the subtle breathing on the other guy. That's sweet. Cool. Yeah. So let's look at Maya quickly. I think that's my more major notes. I want to maybe try out. Whoops. Nope. What the hell? Is it really gonna do that? What have I modified? This is messing with my new hotkey, which brings up and pulls away the picker. All right, ignore all that for now. Sorry about that. Cool. Let's. I want to look at some lead and follow in certain areas to make sure that things are working. This is really annoying. Why does it keep doing this? I'm on the wrong guy as well. Holy shit. So if we keep the head spacing coming forward. Oops. Holy shit. Apologies. So I've just added a bunch of frames. Maybe the down could come a bit later and then settle back up. So the head spacing is a bit cleaner here, although it has like a huge spacing here and then not much here. So maybe there's some stuff with the chest delay that could be cleaned up. But let's try out removing a frame. Yeah, I think maybe it needs a bit more settle, but the arm can be there already, maybe. Could be cool. Then you need to match up the other guy, of course. This guy, a lot of it is that arc that we talked about. Whoops. Is this IK? No, it's the other arm. Oh shit. This fucking thing is so annoying. Maybe simplify a little bit. So you come around. That hotkey is not saving me time right now. Just give that a slice out as well that we talked about. So the big one here, I think, is instead of overshooting back up here, you very much can just settle in into your pose here. And the head's kind of going crazy here as well. I would tone that down. It's the rotate Z maybe. We can have a little overshoot, it's fine. Yeah, I think that big overshoot was what was causing a lot of those issues. Cool. So yeah, a lot of the stuff as we talk about is just going to be lead and follow. Like here, you want to get that arm. Start really dragging it behind. So you could even track things like the wrist if you wanted to see kind of this spacing. Then you probably need a counter with the sword arm so the angle doesn't change a bunch. You're basically just getting straighter as it goes. Not using the arc tracker so much here. That should probably... So the body can be leading a bit more. And then maybe here we get a tiny bit more for one frame. Boom, boom. Cool, let's turn this arc tracker off. Now the body leads a little bit more than the arm. It's not perfect. I would fiddle with this. I'd probably use the shoulder a little bit more to get that involved. And a bunch of other stuff. But that's kind of something I would do for some of that delay. So yeah, a lot of it from this point is just going to be tracking things, simplifying arcs, cleaning things up, adding that lead and follow, and really pushing different moments to make everything as clean as possible. A lot of foot stuff. This can definitely be a lot of feet polish in terms of like when the weight's shifting around, how your feet are rolling. That's going to help. I think there's a good video which I can link you to that. So I'll find that for you. But yeah, for now, it's looking great. And looking forward to seeing your next updates. Thank you very much. See you next time.